Hello everyone, Travis Pfeiffer here, bringing you week 2 of The Gang Plays Casual. And of course, I am not alone. I have 2 returning guests and 1 new one with me. First of all, we've got Stephen Riley. Stephen, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Travis. It's good to be back. I'm ready to display some great fire cards again. It should be fun.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about it. And of course, we have Get in the Van. It's Max Ritter. Max, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, and once again, I have lightning cards on display.
Hey, that's your bread and butter, baby. And joining us for the first time, my good buddy, haven't seen him in a while. Welcome to the show, folks. It's Bradley Shanlin. Bradley, how are you?
Hey, Travis, doing great. I'm happy to be aboard with you today.
Awesome. So guys, let's get right into it. What did you play this week? I know, Max, let's see, you let's start with you, because you only played 1 match, right? Did someone drop out? How come you only played 1?
So my first match was against Dropped, and I picked up the win there. And then my second match was against, oh shoot, I don't even remember. I'm sorry, I am blanking on the name right now.
Do you remember what they played?
They played Knights.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry. And I played Odin the deck. I played
Nice.
It revolved around 6-drop Lightning, and then I played 12 Odins and pretty much a bunch of other good Lightning cards around it. The whole premise of the deck was to drop a bunch of Odins into the grave to make the 6-drop Odin cheaper, and just pick off everything, and then ramp up your backups to be able to swing in with Estinian and Behemoth K.
Nice. So some solid lightning plays. Were you successful? Would you go 2-1?
I went 2
in both.
Yes.
Oh, nice. So yeah, sounds like you.
Yes.
Sounds like those knights were not ready to be broken outright like that.
Yes. There was like a couple. It was a pretty like back and forth game in like the first game, until like he was at 3 damage and I was at 2, and he had like a Rain and a Beatrix and Viking on the board, and then I had Idea and Estinian, and I had full backups, and I was able to tap 1 to play Odin to kill the Rain, and then I sent 1 backup to the grave, tapped, played Kane, killed the Beatrix, and then I tapped 1 discard for Alua, and then I swung in for game.
Nice. That's awesome. Did you ever end up using the Lightning Legends action ability, or were you mainly just casting your Odins?
No, I would try to, and when I saw her, I would play her normally like whenever, at least on 2 backups, and then that's pretty much, I just play her for free. And if I'm pitching Odins to play her, that's even better.
Right.
But no, I never got to use her special ability.
Gotcha. Well, it sounds pretty awesome. Did you have anything you wanted to add specifically about it, or you felt pretty good with it?
Yeah, I mean, I played Ramu. I was mainly because I was kind of scared of Sophie. Yes.
Yeah. Which Ramu?
The 1-drop, the one that chooses forward of cost 2 or a monster of cost 2.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I also, I guess, on the same vein, I played Idea too. I've always liked Idea, and I know that like Idea has fallen out of favor for a lot of Mono Lightning players, but she just kind of always stuck around in the deck. I always felt like you would get really good value out of her, especially on an EX burst. But
I would say burst, man. That's not much better than her. So
yeah. I mean, other than that, like the deck ran really good. Like you're not afraid. Like normally, whenever I'm playing any match, the hardest thing for me is to determine which cards to pitch to play. But in this deck, you're always pitching your Odins because you just you want to make the 6-drop. So it's never really like a dilemma of what to pitch. You're always just like, all right, we're pitching these to play this other good card, and And
It's always nice when the deck kind of just guides you, like, no, it's all right, just pitch these. I got it.
Yeah. When you don't have to make many decisions, the deck feels
Yes.
really good.
That's
I
so
mean,
much
I guess
better.
that's not always a great thing because sometimes you want some versatility to it, but when your stuff's pretty easy,
Right.
you know what you're
Yeah.
going to do before the turn starts. It's always nice.
it's
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I really enjoyed playing this deck. I've always enjoyed playing Mono Lightning. You guys know this. Like,
Yeah.
anybody that's played against me at locals, like, they know I've been playing Mono Lightning since Opus 3, so and forever. And it's just the next iteration of the deck. But yeah, I felt really good, and we came out with a 2-0 week, so it
That's
worked
what I'm
out.
talking about, baby. Yeah, so
Nice.
you would be 4-0 after this first week.
Yes, I'm 4-0 after 2 weeks.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I kind of had an idea what you played because you're the Lightning guy. What I don't know is what Brad played. So, Brad, you haven't played the game in a while. You kind of came back for League of Light. What did you bring?
Well, according to some people, I'm still stuck in season 6, Opus 6. So I brought back and dusted off my iteration of Ice, Water, and a Nightly Beach Walk, which is
Okay.
Layla and Vikings.
Very Opus 6, I agree.
Very Opus 6. I threw in the new Emmett Shelk to help me search for that Snow and
Oh,
new
okay.
Eduardo to help dole
Yeah.
the field when need be. So I think it was a pretty good iteration. But I'm actually really happy with how this week turned out because of it.
Did you, so I know you've always in the past loved Nidhogg. Did he make an appearance?
He made a grand entrance. It was amazing.
Oh, really? Tell us.
Okay, so my second match, I'm playing against an Ice Lightning deck, sort of like Max's iteration. And ended up... Sorry, lost my train of thought there. I ended up playing against the Lightning. I had a Layla and Viking on the field. He used the Lightning's Gestalt Drive to pop both of them. I'm like,
wow.
okay. So he's got the Lightning, he's got Ilua, and he's also got Facilius. Is that what
Oh,
it's
yeah,
called?
the new Physalis. Yeah.
Facilius, yeah. He attacks with the Ilua, hits a Famfrit off the top of the deck. He's like, all right, well, I don't really need the Ilua anymore, so he just sacks Ilua. Swings the Physalis, and then another Famfrit right off the top. So I'm losing my mind over here. He's like, oh, okay, well, that happened. Gets rid of his Lightning, and then all he has is the Physalis and then one card in hand. So it's my turn. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and break my Devout, play a Layla into a Viking, draw another card, ditch 4, tap, drop Nidhogg down, kill off the Physalis, and remove it. And then he had another Physalis in his hand for the special ability that he couldn't use.
Oh, man.
So from there, I just controlled the rest of the game because of the Nidhogg rip. And I had the opportunity to Nidhogg a second time just to remove the Lightning that he searched from his deck to hand. But I decided I'm going to go ahead and just go wider and just play more little Vikings out.
Nice. Were you successful? What, did you end up winning both your matches, or how did it go?
Yeah. The second match was the Ice Lightning. I ended up going 2-0 against. And the first match was Scions, and I very narrowly ended up going 2-0 against him.
Wow. Yeah, I'd imagine Scions might be a little tough for that just because of that haste aspect.
Oh, and the new light card that goes with it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Oracle of Light.
Yeah, that one kind of stops Famfrit.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, it is a good Nidhogg target, though, because Nidhogg will cancel her break zone effect, which is nice.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to Nidhogg into either of those matches, but I played Kefka a few times where I just spewed out the board, then sacrificed, threw down Obelisk Tormentor, killed off his card, then bounced it with for Noah.
Hey, why fix what isn't broken, right? I know how much you've always loved that Layla Viking kind of Nidhogg package, so that's really cool you brought that out.
It's a great combo. And then the Emmet Shelk just really ties the deck and makes it more viable.
So did you find success with him? That's a card I kind of go back and forth on. Like, I like his idea, but man, like, I'll get into this situation where I'll either draw him when I already have 5 backups and then he's worthless, he doesn't do anything, or I just don't see him. So, like, it sounded like you liked him because I've been struggling with him.
He fits really well in the deck, especially since I'm able to draw so often. And if I ever need to, I can just dump him and then bring him back with the Devout later.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
I really have the ability to set up my board the way I want to.
I want to extend that to Max and Steven. What do you guys think of that Emmett Selk?
I've used it a few times. I used it to. I think I had an Innocence deck when the starter decks came out, and I think I used that Emmett Selch to just search for a lock, and then typically just try to go into another backup with it. So I had like a lot of discard and stuff. Kind of discard effects, the self-discard in that deck. But the Emmett Selch felt pretty good. If I saw it later, I would just discard it if I needed it, or if I needed to. But other than that, I feel like it's pretty good. It's not going to... I very rarely... I was playing enough 4-drops where if I had backup space, I wouldn't whiff on it. So it's a pretty... At least in my opinion, it's pretty good. I don't know if it's better than the 4-cost. That's kind of up for debate. But
Right.
I do like the 3-cost. I'd probably play it in a lot of ice decks.
I'll say,
Max, if you go ahead.
I think that like, I say it is really good in like certain decks. Like this is like a perfect deck to like grab the snow, like to make sure that you always see like your like win condition cards. Like snow is like kind of a win condition in this deck, but at the same time, like you're ultimately paying 7, and most of like I think I was playing like Fire Ice. It wasn't an Innocence deck, and I was playing this, and every time I come up, I always wanted to like just do something else instead of the Emmett Selch. It's always nice to have the opportunity, but I always feel like you need to get a backup that does something for you. Like like the Eduardo does something for you, the snow does something for you. Like I mean, even like a search would be a good target. But yeah, it's I think it's fine. I think that in certain decks it can be really good, and in other decks you just kind of always seem to like use it for the CP to play other cards.
That's fair. Brad, did you ever get to Emmett Selk and like pull the Eduardo out, and then you've just now suddenly dulled their whole board? You did?
I did not, but that's
okay.
That's one of the backup plans is to have an Eduardo in hand and then play Emmett Shelk and get one on the board, and then set up for the following turn to just dole and
do
break all
the
their,
what's it called, the
backups.
Dire Dirge or whatever, where you break all the
dole
backups.
I
That's crazy.
didn't get a chance to do that, but I did in one of the match 2 game 1. I did Emmett Shelk with snow on the field, and then attacked into his Emmett Shelk, the legendary version.
Yeah.
So it
bounced out of the way.
Yeah, with snow targeting it, it just bounced and then had to come back later. So it was a pretty interesting combination.
Nice. So you played that deck for both your matches, right?
Yes, I did.
I'd ask you if there was anything you would change, but I feel like you're so locked in on that one for so long that
for 6 opuses, it's changed nothing.
I'm a little upset that I was only able to get 8 forwards out game 1.
Aww.
So I was hoping for more.
I feel really bad for you. I'm sure that was a tragedy.
Poor soul.
Well, you know who had no problem taking on multiple forwards with his best buddy Lon, and that's Stephen Riley. Stephen, tell us about this Lon deck you were rocking.
First off, we need to talk about Lon and how great of a fire card this guy is, and why he never saw any competitive play.
Never got his due. What's up with that?
I have no... Well, I guess that's not entirely true, because some people swapped him out, swapped out to 2-cost Lon and WAF, so he saw a little bit there, but not in the full righteous glory that he deserves.
This card sucks.
Shut up. Lon's freaking great. I mean, he's a 4 CP 10k that's gonna at least has the opportunity to really deal some damage to some forwards. So he kind of has the weird Estinian effect where you might be into a position. It's actually probably worse than Estinian. At least I'm forced to block this.
Right.
Otherwise, I'm going to lose a forward. Well, Lon's going to take a forward away, or at least has the opportunity to take a forward away before you even have a chance to do anything. If you do block, or even if you don't. So, but the best part about Lon is the mind games you get to play with people, because he's got the fun, unique sort of thing where you actually pay on resolution and you don't have to pay the cost up front. So you just target a forward and you're like, okay, what are you going to do? Are you going to do something? And they're like, well, I'm not sure. I think I had somebody break their Ishtola against me, and then Amaterasu against me too, just to cancel all the targets. I was like, okay, this is fantastic. I don't have to worry about any of this stuff.
And when I'm sure a couple of those times you weren't even intending.
No,
actually,
yeah, exactly. I'm like,
trigger.
that's fine with me. I'm not even gonna kill anything off. And then to stack on all that other greatness, he actually chains off himself too, so he can do it multiple times over and over again. So if you have enough cards in hand, he can potentially just be a sweet board clear. So I tried to maximize everything that Lon's good at in the deck. So instead of going mono fire, I decided to add some earth to it because it gave me hecatons and the ability to bring him back with Kusith and stuff like that. And then it just let me tech in some other cards that are good in general matchups. And also let me play Fenrir because Fenrir is a good card and I like that. Turns out Fenrir and Sarah Mobius are like best friends, so it was always a big combo. If I had Lon on field, I could just Fenrir and bring back Sarah Mobius, and Lon could fight something, and then I would break a backup, and then break another forward, and then if I really wanted to, I could pay 4 more fire CP and break something else. So there's a bunch of really fun lines of play there. But I just kind of had Lon and then some generically good fire cards in there, and then I just had Lon do the work. The first game I played, I think, was against, I want to say it was Ice Wind. Okay. I think B. Keel was playing Ice Wind, and he was playing like Sid Randall combo with all of that, and he was trying to get that stuff to work. So I had to work
Sid
around.
Randall doesn't stop Lon.
Yeah, it doesn't stop Lon, which is great. He has like no end of the field abilities. It can't always be a great thing, but it was pretty good. The only thing I really had to work around there was the Gentiana, but then I just had Hecatons and Sarah Mobius and stuff to get around that, which is pretty easy. And then my second game was against Dragoons, which is a little scarier because like if I put Lon out there by himself or Wall or any of my other forwards, they could just drop that 3 CP Dragoon and just blow it up. So I was kind of scared to, or at least hesitant to put anything out. But eventually I kind of just burned him out and constantly playing big stuff like Braskas and Lon and stuff and everything like that. And he didn't really have enough removal to keep up with my big forwards. But overall, it felt really good, really fun to play. And I think you actually tried it out yourself and made a few variations. So
and in the past, in Opus like 7-8, when I first joined, I played Lon in Mono Fire. And while I liked him there, I really like him with the Earth variant. It just gives him more flexibility. And like you said, having things like Hecaton or Kusith, or just all those, options that Earth gives you, having Tyro to bump Lon to 11 or 9 or whatever, if you need to, is really nice. So I really like him in the Earth variant. And it let me put Momodi in the thing, so that way I'd had turns with Momodi and Luce, and so Luce give Lon Brave, Momodi give that Brave, and just, I really like the Earth
swinging
variant.
in with big forwards, It's pretty good.
I had a question for you, Stephen.
I have an answer.
There's two cards that I'm looking at that I'm curious of why they're in the deck, and that's Shara and Delita.
Okay, so Delita is a Fenrir target, and it's not a bad one because it's going to pull back any 2-cost character. So any of my 2-cost backups that I may have lost, I can always Fenrir back or Kusith back. So like if I break a Lael and I need another one, I can try to get that back with Delita, or I can just get it back with a Fenrir Delita. Or Kucha Ospel, I can pitch it early if I really don't need it then, and then get it later. And then the Ashra actually put in a lot of work against Ice. It's gonna let me reactivate backups. So essentially, the idea with the Ashra is you go into attack phase with Lon. You have Ashra in hand, and you have 5 backups. You tap yourself out, and then you get the Lon trigger. So you blow something up, and then you can actually target something else, and then you can Ashra on top of that to reactivate your backups to get another free hit off your backups. So in a weird way, it lets you kind of get another free kill off of it. There's only one in there, but it actually worked pretty well with like Cryle and stuff like that. I was able to just recast things, and it actually saved me a few times because I could just reactivate my forwards against Ice if they were dull frozen. So it was always nice to have a little toolboxy thing in the deck. I think Travis probably, I think, said he took out the Delita and a few other things. I think he took out Delita and Cryle and just
I did
made
a bit more traditional, like Earth, because you kind of had more of those color bleeds. I just didn't feel like messing with all those.
Yeah,
so I was like, I'll just do more like traditional Earth Fire. But I watched a few of your matches using it, and you used it to pretty good success. I did leave Sarah Mobius in because her off of Fenrir onto Lon is just so nice.
Yeah, definitely. And you can, at least with enough of the color fixing backups, you can still play Delita and Sarah Mobius from hand if you really need to. So you're not like completely useless cards you can only pull back with Fenrir. It's just something else you can kind of play out if you have the opportunity to.
Speaking of that Delita, quick card question for everybody. And Brad, I don't know if you've seen it or not. So pretty much I've universally seen it to get back a character of 2 cost. Can anyone see a situation where you would want to break your own character with that thing?
Rampier.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, I guess so.
You could also, I think Rampier is like the thing that.
Which you'd have to go into lightning too, and I know Rampier was always 3 colors, but I was like, I guess I was just thinking
that's
Ice Earth. But
that's within the 3 colors though. I mean, it was Ice, Earth, Lightning. So you could definitely try it. That's another way to do it. I would break my own Shantoto, so I could replay another one if I needed to.
That's fair.
But beyond that, I think actually the Rampier is actually probably pretty good because it helps color fix with a lot of that stuff too. So
that's true.
Kind of curious to see if you can make a list with that.
That's a deck that like I wanted to experiment with because of it. Just after like Opus 10, it just like kind of fell off, but it just like never seemed to like lose its power. I guess it's just like other things just became the hot flavor. It became better, but I still think that it's like, still think it's good. And
a good little segue because I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. I think Rampier is a great example that I don't know if it got any worse necessarily. And I've seen this a lot with people say, oh, well, no one's playing that right now. And I often wonder, okay, but is that because it actually got worse or there's just so many things to play out there, and we've got new things, new toys every Opus that you can only play so much. Like WoF, I can understand the argument for WoF with things like Broskas and saying, oh, it'll kill you if you target it. But Rampier, I feel like, is still just as strong. I've seen random people play it on Octagon. Like, what do you guys think about that? Like, that kind of idea?
Probably just so many flavors out there right now, Travis. There's just so much potential and possibilities to create.
I think that's fair. Like for example, like, you don't really see many people playing Wind Water anymore, but like I still think the deck is really good. Like, and like I get that like you might have to play it a little differently because of everything seems to be like 10k power now. Yeah. But I mean like you can easily get to 10k with like Pandemonium and like Valfors and Finas and stuff. Like I get it that like the easy answer is, well, why don't we play Samurais when we can just, or why don't we just play Samurais where we can cleave and do tank and
Yeah.
But there's always I feel like there's potential definitely with decks that just like are really good for a while and then people are just like, I'm kind of tired of playing this,
Yeah.
And that's
fair enough.
Yeah.
What about you, Riley? What do you think?
I think I'm gonna steal the words of Alex Hancock's because I watched his Twitch one of the times and he was kind of just talking about Opus 12 and kind of the decks. Okay. There wasn't really like too many. I guess there's not really competitive events, so there was just a little bit of data. But the little data that he had, he pretty much said you have your 2 superior decks that just have really good ideas, which in Opus 12 was Samurais and then your Storm decks. And there wasn't really like a triangle that you typically see in a lot of them. So the 2 were going back and forth and kind of shaving off win rates. With that being the case, I feel like the Samurais filled a lot of space and did the best with regards to like aggro and tempo decks, and it was the best at that. So you didn't see any other decks. The Samurai's deck was more versatile and probably much better than Wind Water, so you didn't see that. The Storm deck kind of filled in a lot of those things for like Rampier and everything else. The control stuff that took over the games, playing out big bodies and stuff. Storm kind of took over that, and they kind of just traded win rates and stuff. And I feel like that's kind of the issue right now. I don't even know if it's an issue because with Opus 13 coming out, the design space is huge. I think if
Yeah.
you look at the Xanarkin Open, there was
Mhm.
so many different decks in there. And all of them kind of do something a little better than others. So it's might not feel so much like a rock, paper, scissors thing or a triangle as much. Um, but like the Fire Lightning deck and stuff like that, it's like they do a lot of things really well. It has a good matchup against like Sophie decks and stuff like that with Aldori Emperor and everything. So and Sophie decks have a really good matchup against Storm because they play Fenrir and they break 4 CP backups and all that stuff. So I'm kind of interested to see if with Opus 13 it opens up design space and we start seeing old things like WAF and Wind Water and things like that just to kind of test out and see where it goes.
Yeah. That's fair. If either of you guys feel encouraged to build Rampier, I would be very curious to see. I mean, surely it could only be better with, because it was a 3-color anyway, so to have cards like Delita that's, hey, in one card, I now have Earth and ICP. Like, I feel like you could just get set up even easier than you did before. So if anyone's feeling challenged out there, feel free. I'd love to see that.
I also think, like, with Rampier, that because we've seen a lot of Versatile decks, like, it kind of feels the same, like, I mean, Rampier and Versatile are kind of different, but it's kind of the jam a lot of forwards into the deck, don't play any summons, and then you're
that's fair.
I mean, it's kind of the same vein of deck, and Versatile is kind of like it does a lot, and especially the Fire Ice variant of it, it does, there's just a lot that it can do. And while Rampier is like, all right, we need to get to this specific point and do this specific things. But I mean, I still think the Rampier deck could be very good.
That's fair. So 2 weeks in, have any of you guys played against any decks or seen any decks from opponents that caught you off guard, or you're like, oh wow, I wasn't expecting to see that? Or was it all kind of like Knights and Sophie stuff you expected? Would it anything catch you off guard?
Dragoons got me actually in week 1.
Oh, really?
I really underestimated the new Dragoon out there. That when he enters the field, you reveal your Dragoons and then break one of their forwards.
That's like their best one now.
Yeah, it caught me off guard quite a few times.
I would say that, like, in my when I was playing the last week against the Golbez, like, Archfiends.
Yeah, that was cool.
I think that, like, there's a deck that I want to do with that, and like maybe mannequins. I don't know, something like some concoctions brewing in my head that I'm gonna put it onto like FFTCG and it's just gonna be trash. But I haven't really, like, I've only played 3 games, and Knights have kind of been on my radar. I wanted to try those out, but I just haven't really decided on how I want to build it, I guess.
Yeah. I maybe I'm a hater, but I don't know. I'm not sold on Knights yet, even though I've seen it do well and I've seen it be successful, but it's I guess I haven't seen it to that consistency yet where I'm like, okay, Knights are like for real and you got to watch out. I'm kind of like, well, it's there. I don't know if it's like Agrias seems better in Sophie to me than she even does in the Knights package, but maybe that's just me. Riley, what about you? Did you see anything that caught your attention?
It was actually surprising. So that Fire Lightning list that I thought nobody was going to play, I played against that the first week, and I was like, oh, okay. And then BKL's Ice Wind kind of list with like Sid Randall and or Remedy and stuff like that. I thought that was kind of interesting. I wish I would see more of that stuff because I think there's probably something there, and it would be probably pretty good, like a tax deck that I mean I know Max is pretty familiar with. Yeah. I mean I ran across Dragoons, and then Ryun's kind of Opus 12 list that he had. I was kind of familiar with that stuff. I didn't really expect to see them just because it was an Opus 12 deck where you had your Regis Kefka and you sacked off everything and then brought it all back with Regis. Yeah, I think so far, maybe within these last 2 weeks or so when at least people start to kind of get around in the standings. People are just going to start playing for fun when the gaps kind of open up a little bit. I know that's probably what I'm going to ultimately end up doing, is kind of going a little crazier with the decks and stuff that I'm playing in the next couple weeks. As there's only, I think, 4 games left after this, so it should be pretty fun.
There's only it's only 4 weeks total.
I think it's
okay.
4. It's you play everybody once.
Yeah,
Gotcha,
it's a round robin sort of thing, and then they cut to top 16.
Which is probably 4 from each pod.
I think so. I'm pretty sure it is, but we could probably double check it. But
and you guys are all in the lead right now, right?
It is top 4 for each. I asked Matt earlier, and he responded, yes.
And you guys are all top your pod, right?
I think Brad's second, but yeah,
second place. But we're
you're in the top 4.
Yeah.
And I think Brandon is 2. I don't quite remember.
Yeah, Brandon won both of his games, so he's 4-0.
Yeah. I got to see one match Brandon played where he was playing a version of my Warriors of Light, an inferior version, mind you, of course, because it wasn't mine. But he was playing it nonetheless, and he was going against ninjas, and that was like a knockdown, drag out, 6 and 7 damage every single match. So
that's another deck, ninjas, that I felt like I saw a lot of last Opus, and then obviously this Opus we haven't really seen much, but it's only been a couple weeks or whatever. But
and you know what's funny is I think ninjas, every time I see them, they're just as good, they're just as sneaky, and they perform well. So I wonder why they haven't caught on to a bigger level, because I don't know if people just feel like it's too reliant on edge and they just don't want to take that slot machine chance, but I feel like other decks are that way too, Bartz and Boko with that, and just so I don't know, ninjas always do well when I see them, so I'm really surprised that hasn't caught on more.
Travis, I think they're just tired of living on the edge.
I was gonna say too edgy for them, but that's good too.
Nice. I like 'em.
No, but I think ninjas are good, and then that we're recording it and that 2-drop ninja got spoiled today, and I think that's just
a new one for Opus 14, right? The Earth one?
I mean, I know that's a long way down the way, but that's also that card fits, it fits.
Yeah, that's a cool card.
And I mean I think ninjas. I know that people have done this topic and have done podcasts, and I think you've even done podcasts on it. But I like going towards tribals or archetypes. I love that aspect of where there are decks that get good because of specific cards. I'm glad that they made the new 9 legend for cadets. Yeah. I'm glad that they're making cards specifically for cadets, ninjas, monks. There's and it's some of them may hit and some of them may miss, but I like it better than when you used to just be all right, this is a generic good ice or wind card, I'll slap it into mono wind, or this is a generic good ice card, just slapping it into mono ice. And it's just it feels like with them making archetypes and tribals, or whatever you want to call them, that the meta shifts, whereas in how long was wind water top, how long was mono ice was good for a while. It felt like you would just see the same decks from the previous Opus, just add the 2 really good new cards into them, and then they're just So I like being oh, okay, now I can try knights now, or I can try this archetype, I can try ninjas, I can try monks, I can try cadets, I could try whatever. I like
this might be an unpopular opinion, but I really like Tenzin, and I'm sure people are tired of seeing him and tired of losing to him, but I really like his design because yes, he's very strong, but again, you have to play him in a samurai deck. He's not like a Braska's or a Neo X Death where it's no, I can just jam it wherever I want. It's no, you have to focus him into a samurai deck. So I agree. I think you can make these cards stronger than your average cards as long as you focus them. And Riley, you've talked about that before with cards too, is that you can make them stronger. You just got to restrict them into, whatever element.
I know like Emperor Zondi is like a really good example of that. I mean, at the time in Opus 2 it was a pretty decent card. But if they just like start restricting things to mono, or they start restricting things to just the tribal stuff and the archetypes, I think it would open up the game a lot, because you're gonna have a lot of broken stuff walking around, and it's all gonna be just a large variety of it. So you're probably gonna see. At least with this Opus 13, I mean, monks are a thing. Mono Earth monks ended up winning it. That was pretty much the only Sophie deck in that entire top 16, I think.
Which is crazy. Like, does Sophie alone make it that much better, or is it the new Yang
I
too,
think
or
so.
like...
I mean, the combination with Matt and being able... the new Yang, you're right. Being able on one damage to be able to play out 4 forwards, essentially, off of Matt. And that is pretty insane. Even like New 9. I mean, New 9's extremely good removal for cadets.
He's great.
So there's a lot of things that just slowly enabled it. Even in Opus 12, like with Samurais, they were kind of going back. Hey, we're just going to jam a bunch of these. We're going to force you to jam a bunch of these Samurai cards in your deck, and it's going to be really good. And it's going to be mono fire. And I'm all about that stuff. I love that. And you can still play a really good mono fire deck that's not Samurais. So you can have a very strong variation between your two variants, just because one Samurais and you're just strictly going tribals with one. I think fire is probably the only element right now that probably has that. I am a sucker for Archfiends, so with these new releases for Opus 13, I'm probably going to toy with that and try to get that to work. And then hopefully they kind of just continue to release more Category 4 support and make it a lot better. I just want something that's going to search my Golbez out or something like that.
Well, and like...
make it a lot better.
And like talking to your limiting to the specific element, I think that like, you know, with the whole dual element cards, like it's so easy to color fix in these decks. Like just like if you're playing any deck, you pretty much that plays multiple colors at this point. You're playing 3 Tyro, like and it's just like you can pretty much generate any CP of element you want, and it's just it's so easy to get all of these cards where like if you're just like, all right, you specifically have to play it in a mono ice deck or a mono wind deck or a mono, and it's just like it would make it more interesting and like more of a dilemma of like, okay, so how am I going to build this deck around this card? How am I not going to build it around the other card, instead of just being like, oh, well, this makes sense in Storm. I'm just like Lock, you know, like
Lock is everyone's.
It's just
well,
an
example.
I mean, that Storm deck is specifically to jam out Lock multiple times in a turn, and like Earth Wind is the best way to do that because it has tons of reactivation, tons of free stuff. So in a way, you can't abuse Lock as efficiently, at least not until Opus 13 when they printed Ocho and a couple other reactivation things. Jesus. But it was really difficult to abuse Lock in any sort of element that wasn't Earth Wind. So it as in a weird way, he was an Earth Wind card. So as he might have been listed as Wind Ice, but he was definitely an Earth Wind card. And kind of going back to you saying jamming 3 Tyro into everything, we're slowly seeing the shift of, at least in Opus 13, and that's kind of the reason why Sophie got so popular. It brought back Fenrir. There's tons of great 2CP targets in there. Everybody's running around with Tyro. Well, Sophie and Fenrir just take a big crap on Storm decks because they cannot color fix, because their Tyro and Shantotos or whatever else they're using to color fix constantly is being obliterated by Fenrir, and they're getting value back with Sophie and Sarah. So again, with kind of the meta talk, stuff is slowly evolving to just get rid of the stuff that people are relying on. So you're not going to see 3 Tyro in every single deck because Fenrir is such a huge thing. And it's really difficult to play anything that's an expensive backup that you're not generating value with, like Northstal and Asera that are going to be searching other backups. So I feel like you probably relatively soon you're going to start seeing decks that are going to be more efficient with 3 CP backups that are going to be like the 3 CP searchers, like Black Mage and I forgot what the new ones were, White Mage and things like that, are essentially 1 CP backups, but they can't be broken by Fenrir, so they're not Fenrir targets, so you're trying to reduce as many things that are going to get blown up at a time. I mean, should be interesting to say the least. And I feel like Opus 14, at least with this kind of tease of the ninja, they're gonna start releasing even more ninjas and stuff that are gonna kind of go back into the tribals and category stuff. So it should be really interesting.
Boys, break out the Doga decks, because if I have to see Althea
Oh.
bounce something one more time, I'm getting ready to just break that back up every time I see it on principle.
Hey, I played that deck last week, so there's did I ever play Doga? No, but
You never had it see it in the
but
field.
it's in there. I think that personally that this opus is a little bit refreshing. I didn't play a lot during. I mean, I played some during Opus 12, but it just felt really like bad playing against Neo Exodeth and Storm
Yeah.
and
It
Samurais,
felt really
and I'm
bad.
just like, I'm over here just trying to play my little lightning cards, and I'm just like, yes, first turn Neo Exodeth, that's good, I guess. And I'm just like, okay, and
Right.
yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that I like this opus so far.
Yeah,
No, that's
definitely.
good. So we're going to wrap up here, and we're going to look at next week. Now, Steven and Max, I know at the time of this recording, you guys have already played one, if not both of your matches. Brad, I don't think you have played any yet, correct?
I have one tomorrow and then another one on Saturday.
Okay, so no one's going to see this. You're not giving away any tech. Are you going to live the Opus 6 dream, or are you thinking of breaking something else out?
I have another deck cooking. I'm bringing back the one true ruler of Final Fantasy, and I think
Ooh.
when I get that perfected, I'll break that and showcase it. Maybe on Saturday. But
That's
some of
exciting.
the guys remember me playing it, and I think you guys said it was at Gen Con I made top 8 with it.
Yeah.
Really?
yeah.
Nice.
It's,
Oh, yeah, that's right. You were in top 8, the one that Cody went to. I know, I was hoping we'd get to see a finals between the two of
Yeah.
you. Yeah, because we never got to see you two face each other. That would have been awesome, have that STL connection.
Oh my gosh, yeah, going back to the rivalry.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Well, I hope we get to see... I don't know who the one true Lord of Final Fantasy is, so I hope I get to see it, because that sounds exciting. Boys, thank you, as always, for joining me. This has been a great time, and sounds like everyone had a good time in Week 2. Definitely looking forward to Week 3. Can't wait to see some of your matches, hear about some of the new deck techs you guys have cooked up. Folks, Travis Pfeiffer is your host, always. Big thank you to Steven, Max, and Bradley. Boys, say goodbye to everybody.
See ya.
Bye.
We'll see you next time. Take care.